Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We have a great session lined up for you today. Before we get started, there are just a few general housekeeping points to cover. First and foremost, please use the online question tool to post any questions that you have, and we will share them with our speakers. Second, if you experience any technical difficulties today, please use the same question tool and a member of our admin team will be on hand to support you. And finally, just to note, this session is being recorded and we'll be sharing a copy of the recording with you via email in the coming days. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to our speakers to get us started.
Hello, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thank you all for joining our session on using IP Author to draft patents like a pro. My name is Samir Rayani, and I am the CEO of IP Author. With me is my colleague Sumer Riaz. Sumer heads our team here in Europe, and he has been one of the drivers behind the concept and vision of what IP Author is and will be. We also have our colleague Manik Bala with us, and Manik heads our marketing organization worldwide. So thank you again for joining us. We will be talking about IP Author, our platform that uses GenAI for patent drafting and prosecution. Next slide, please. So IP Author, just a brief introduction about IP Author. IP Author has been spun off from Dolcera. Dolcera is a company that has kind of set the standard for intellectual property analytics, patent analytics over the last 20 plus years. We are located in Silicon Valley. We are headquartered here, and we have teams in many parts of the world, and we have hundreds of clients across US, Europe, and Asia. So this platform was started about two and a half years ago, and it has been built for patent attorneys, by patent attorneys, and we also have added a solid infusion of GenAI expertise into the mix to make this platform powerful. Given our 20 plus years of history with Dolcera, we've also used a lot of patent analytics expertise that we have accumulated over the years, and AI and ML expertise that we have also accumulated over the years around patent information and analytics. That is what differentiates IP Author from other tools in this space, right? You could go ahead and start drafting something fairly useful just with ChatGPT or with Gemini or with Claude. But what is it that you will get out of a platform like ours? That is where our expertise, our data sets, our strengths come in. So we'll talk about that in the coming slides. So here is where what our vision for the platform is. Our platform, we want to make it very much a comprehensive platform, both for the enterprise as well as for the law firm. What does that mean? What does a comprehensive platform mean? What we want to do is we want to take the entire process from the concept that is generated by an inventor all the way to the licensing side of the business. We want to encompass the entire workflow. We want to support that entire workflow along the way, step by step. We want to make every step of that workflow efficient. We want to make every user in that workflow more empowered. So let's start with the invention refinement. If you have an idea, or if your inventors have an idea, or if your inventor submits an idea, we want to make sure that the idea is fully refined, that it is fleshed out, and it is clarified fully for the inventor, as well as for the patent agent, patent attorney, invention manager, whoever is working downstream. The idea is refined and clear. So that's step one. Step two is prior art searching, drafting, office action response, and then evidence of use collection, as well as patent classification for the organization. These are all the steps we want to support, that our platform supports today, using the power of Gen AI. We are one of the pioneers in this young space. As we mentioned, we have hundreds of corporate and law firm customers around the world using this platform, giving us feedback constantly, and we are improving and iterating on the platform every day to make it more powerful and to support a wide range of use cases and industries. Next slide, please. So what happens here, right? Like step one, we get the invention disclosure. The platform has some of the basic capabilities of an inventor interview to refine and make sure that the embodiments are created, and then or embodiments are fleshed out. And then the work product you get is something that looks more like a refined invention disclosure or a draft invention disclosure that can then be tweaked and improved and then processed further. So here, we have seen that it saves a considerable amount of time by automating this inventor interview process. It saves a considerable amount of time for the teams that work downstream, such as patent portfolio managers or inventor panels that you have in your organization. We also then look for prior art. This is a very powerful feature. It is integrated into the workflow. It uses generative AI. And what we have found is that when you compare to a human patent searcher, our platform delivers about 70 to 80% as good a set of results in pretty much no time at all, right? So instead of the typical workflow where the inventor comes up with the idea, then you send it for searching, then wait for the search report to come back, here everything is done in real time, and the results are extremely good, as you will see in our demonstration later, and therefore you are saving a ton of time there. Then the patent draft comes in, where now that you already have prior art, the patent application draft is created, the claims are drafted, your images or figures that you upload are described. If you're missing some flowcharts, block diagrams, the system will generate the diagrams for them, and it will create the detailed description and the specification. So now you got the first draft, you'll be able to work on it, you'll be able to iterate on it. And this alone, this process, our clients have said, saves them anywhere from 30-40% to sometimes 70-80% if they're in a rush, right? Because in that case, they'll have the first draft, they'll make minor changes and file them. If they have more time, they'll be able to spend more time on it, iterating and improving on the draft, right? And then we are talking at the next step, which is the office action response preparation. So the system will take the office action from the patent office and then provide a detailed analysis of the office action, and then it will create put arguments, it will provide amendment suggestions, and create the whole office action response for you to review. So this is a very, very comprehensive system that we have developed so far, and there are many, many other features that will be coming and being added over time as well. Final step of this cycle is the portfolio commercialization piece, where we have a classification platform that automatically classifies patent portfolios, that even provides some initial preliminary evidence of use type suggestions, and helps you with a wide range of capabilities around that. So overall, what we are building is a platform that is designed to slash maximum amount of time and improve the quality of your work product very, very rapidly. That's our goal, that's our vision, and we're going to show you how it works. Over to you, Sumer. And of course, if anybody has questions, please use the Q&A. I can already see there are some questions coming up, so we'll be addressing them there. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Samir, for this introduction. This set a very good stage for me to then take on and show a demo of our drafting tool and our office and our prior art search tool. Right. So what you can see on your screen right now is the landing page of our drafting and prior art search tool. we can start on any of these individual workflows. Let's say we start with drafting a claim. One can go and also, quickly with the same information, find prior art information. So you can start with either some text, right? Some simple text, but also one can upload complex files, right? Files in the form of, PDF, Word documents, presentations, or what have you. And inside these files, there could be text or non-text based input. This could be like graphs, images, tables, and so on and so forth. So the tool is capable of reading any
So
such.
where the confidentiality question has come up a couple of times. If you don't mind, I'll just address it briefly. So one of the key questions that comes up is, what about confidentiality? What about information security, etc.? So we have been very focused on these aspects, and given that we are working with many large organizations around the world, law firms, corporations, we have gone through many reviews by our partners, as our customers and partners as well. So a few things. Number one, we have zero data retention guarantees from our partners whose technology we use. So that means that we do not have any. They do not store any of the information. They do not use it for model training or any other purpose. So our request hits their system, they respond to it. Nothing is stored on their side. We do store the data. We store your information on our server so that you can modify your patent applications. You can respond to your office actions and refine them over time. But what we make sure is we do not look at any of your information in any way. So we have no idea what you're working on. We do not use any of your information for model training or any other purpose. So everything that you do on our system is completely restricted to you. And that is it. We do not look at anything. We do not use it, nothing along those lines. So just wanted to clarify that. We have the ISO and SOC 2 certifications. We take data protection and privacy really seriously, and we have very high standards for all of this. And therefore, that piece is something that we have really worked hard to manage, and we are very proud of our standards. Happy to answer these questions, but please continue, Samir. Thank you for sharing the slide as well.
Of course, no, happy to get people's questions answered. We'll get back onto the demo of the tool now. I'll share my screen again. You should be able to see IP author's landing page for drafting claims. What I was saying was, for any of these starting points to draft claims or to explore prior art, one can start with a textual or a non-textual input in the form of a file. This is what we're going to do today. So we will upload a file. I will upload, I've created an example. I'm going to upload this file and we will work with, oh, sorry, I have to log in. Again, security. I'll just quickly get into the system. And there's also multi-factor authentication. That means that aside from your password, you will have to authenticate with the help of a one-time password that comes to your device to verify it's indeed you who is trying to access the tool. All right. So, and then we are in, we continue our process. So we wanted to upload a invention disclosure, right? So we go ahead and upload this. The tool is not going to take 5 minutes. It'll be like in a matter of few seconds, and we can continue working with it. So what we uploaded is a Word document that has some some image and some text input, right? We say, okay, continue with this input, and please go ahead, read this and analyze this input and let us know what you have understood by this input, right? So in this case, the system reads this and creates a problem solution analysis from this input, right? It says this input actually is to do with prediction of the pedestrian's intention while they are probably on the road or crossing the road or something like that. This can be installed in the form of in a vehicle or something like that to understand whether the pedestrian is trying to cross or they are harmless pedestrians on the sidewalk, right? So in this case, it says there could be problems, for example, that real-time behavior prediction mechanisms are not very well easily available right now, and we want to work on that problem to be able to understand what we can do, right? So it says here that we have a computer implemented invention, a method and a system for predicting this pedestrian intent. It uses behaviors like walking, waiting, running, hesitation as examples to understand the behavior, to then which can be obviously understood by a camera model, which is an input, which is then processed with the help of a machine learning model and classified and understood to see whether we can predict the right outcome, and then also inform or alert the vehicle in time, right? It also has read the image that we saw earlier, and it created the solution in this form as well, right? And it uses, it lays down the uses and embodiments. The whole point of analyzing this this information firsthand is to give our attorneys an opportunity to read and assess really the understanding of the AI, which means you are here, actually, the steering is in your hands to change anything that you do not feel is exactly hitting on the scope that you have in mind. You're trying to obviously draft claims, find prior art for this system, or for this invention. Therefore, you have complete control over what you want to change. So I can go on saying we have, in addition to the camera non-video based input as well. I can define this, how it works, on so on and so forth, so that we have the scope that we want to prosecute, we want to draft properly nailed in. So you have, it tells you what it understands, but you still have the opportunity to override what the AI understood and make an assessment of how you wish to go forward, right? And let's take a look. It says that we are going to create a method claim and a systems claim, right? Which you again can change and say, okay, I don't want a systems claims here. I'm only looking at the method claim. I can take this out, right? Or say, fine, this is okay. We want to go ahead and with this information, let me know what is my idea like, what is the novelty statement for this, right? We have not created a search. We will create this separately, right? Okay, let's see. So it says that the invention introduces a system combining camera-based detection with machine learning to predict the intent of the pedestrian, which uses technologies or estimations like pose estimation, trajectory tracking, and neural networks for real-time decision making, which is exactly what we are trying to do, right? So before we go ahead, we can also actually side by side look at prior art, which is what Samir also said earlier, is a very important feature of IP author, right? Similar starting point, we go ahead and say, start and explore our prior art. Again, give the same input. And in a matter of seconds, we will have the analysis on our screen right here, right? So it's not, again, going to take these minutes, a few seconds, and we'll be there. The system understands this invention again, makes an assessment like we did earlier. We can change the assessment and say, actually, okay, this is what we want to do. And we will want to find the prior art quickly for this analysis. Okay, so we say, analyze this input, give us your assessment, and then find the prior art, okay? But side by side, we can do this on two tabs. I have here the office, I have here the claims that I can create, and on the other side, I can use this to actually look at the prior art as well, right? So let's see. So we are analyzing the input from the tool. It will take another few seconds. Okay, there you go. And then we say identify the novelty. We can change all of this if we wish to, and then say explore prior art. We want patent and non-patent prior art. Obviously, we can also create these filters if you wish to, but in case of finding a prior art for for an invention, we want to keep everything open. It also identifies the right class codes, primary and secondary, which we can work with. We say explore the prior art and then give us these results for me to understand how I can draft my claims, right? So which I will give the command of actually either drafting the US style or EP style claims, right? Let's say we go ahead and draft EP style or US style claims, both we can try, right? Let's look at our prior art results. Meanwhile, our prior art results are ready. It says, hey, I see that here you have a document from Ficosa Automotive. It has a lot of similarity with your invention. There's 90% similarity. And how does it assess this similarity? It looks at actually the elements of our invention, compares the element of our invention with the elements of the patent, and then gives this to us as well. It says, hey, both the system involve predicting pedestrian intent using camera-based detection and machine learning, right? And the patent describes a method of predicting a future position of an object focusing on pedestrian behavior, which is very similar to what we are also doing. The use of pose estimation and trajectory tracking is common to both the invention and the patent. Again, another point of similarity. The patent mentions the use of deep learning models for pedestrian detection and predicting, which aligns obviously with what we are also trying to do. What is different though is that there is control unit at our invention, which uses behavior, which uses, for example, the behavior of the user and analyzes this information. It uses, for example, convoluted neural networks or RNN and RNN as well, which are obviously known machine learning algorithms for estimating outcomes, right? But this information is not present in the patent I have found, right? Similarly, we can obviously look at other documents that the system has found, right? So there are multiple documents. We can read all of them very quickly right here. And again, you have to understand, it's not just a list of documents that the system is giving us. It's not like a data dump, for the lack of a better word. It's an actual analyzed information that you can right here use and make a decision whether a certain document is actually indeed relevant or not, or and what does it mean for my invention, right? So because this way the similarity and differences are assessed, one can take a decision very easily. One can also read the relevant literature from the relevant text from the document, or open the whole document if one wishes to read this in more detail, right? Similar to that, obviously, also is the non-patent literature. Here, it's found a pedestrian intention prediction for autonomous vehicles, a comprehensive survey. This is a result from a non-patent literature. Pedestrian intent prediction using machine learning algorithms. These are all very relevant pieces that one may need to analyze and see how it actually looks at predicting these kind of things, what machine learning models it uses, and so on and so forth, right? But we come back to also, how we can from here go on and then make our assessment. So either you start with drafting the claims on your own, or you look at the prior art first and then draft the claims. All of this is possible. So from here on also, once you've you're in your mind clear on exactly what you're trying to now create the invention as, if that's clear, now you can draft the invention from here on. Or if you actually found something interesting that could potentially be a problem, you could modify the invention. You could say, actually, yeah, this seems like everything is all right, yet I feel if I was to add a few things here, which will make one of my elements to work in a slightly different direction, I would be very, very open in the white space, right? So you can change that, you can add whatever you wish to, and then generate the information. And with the let's call it updated version of our scope, we are then in the greens and go ahead and then draft the claim, on the side. Or you could also do what I usually sometimes do, which is that I have the prior art here, and then I look at the claims on the other side. We also have the US claims, we also have the EP claims, right? So let's say I look at the claims on either of these tabs and understand what I need to choose, right? So the tool has given us 2 claim sets, right? So we can look at both these versions, choose the one that is very relevant or very close to what I have in mind, and then make use of many other features which we'll talk about in the next 2 minutes to make this claim set into what you want to finally draft and prosecute, right? Let's say we choose out of the 2, we choose, let's say, version number 2, right? Let's choose version number 2, and we can start making changes to this claim set right here. Let's say we want to start with saying, hey, the first thing I want you to add the reference numerals to the components in the claim. Sorry. Use the ones in the invention, right? Input, that is. So you don't have to worry about these spelling errors. It's just my quirk. I will correct this, but you can, it's very forgiving of spelling errors and so on and so forth. Okay, so we change this and then say generate this extra another, let's say, version. Okay, it started saying, okay, by capturing a camera. Now let's read the claim properly. By capturing a camera unit, real time of the pedestrian activity, classifying by a machine learning module 40, what the pedestrian action based on the real-time video, determining by the machine learning model likelihood of the pedestrian entering a vehicle path, generating a control logic, alerts, and controlling the logic, which is then obviously the vehicle behavior based on determined likelihood. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. I would like to, for example, let's say, make this claim a little more clear or rather specific in that sense. Clear. What I want to do is I want you to disclose the frame rate of the video in the independent claim. It should be at least, let's say, I don't know, 10 frames per second. Right. So, and again, we don't have to really draft, or we don't have to prosecute this claim. What I'm trying to show is what all changes are possible that you may want to affect on the claims that are possible here in what sense. So what I'm trying to show is how easy actually it is to interact. You don't have to become a prompt engineer. You could see that I was just writing natural language and the system is sort of like tuned to understanding the way in which patent attorneys talk to associates or talk to each other, and changes get affected. That's what the tool is trained to do, is that it will react to your interactions and then create or craft these claims the way you wish to do. So what can it do? It can make changes like these. It can also make very technically, qualitatively intense changes. For example, you can introduce that actually, you know what, I feel like it's slightly generic than for my likelihood actually, because it does not mention the way the modules of the machine learning work or what modules these are. You can introduce this information. It's already there. It knows about it. But let's say, and then ask it to therefore modify the claim. Let's say the machine learning ML modules we use are CNN and RNN. I want you to disclose this in my, again, I'm adding this to my independent claim, knowing that it will become specific, but yet what we're not trying to obviously prosecute this claim. We are trying to understand how you could affect these changes that you wish to in my, let's say, independent claims, right? All right, so we say this. What else, right? So you could also do other such changes, right? For example, you could ask it to give you more disclosure about something. You could ask it to maybe create some generic fallbacks, right? To make it more broad, for example. Let's look for such an opportunity now, right? Okay, it said CNN and recurrent neural networks. Okay, let's look for something that we may want to create slightly more broadly. I see here it says that sixth claim comprises of persistent actions comprise of waiting, walking, running, or hesitating. Let me just now, for our claim 6, I want you to create some broad or generic fallbacks for the actions. I don't want to limit the actions described there, right? Also change other claims accordingly. What I'm doing here is I am trying to understand, looking at the claims that the first of all tool has created on its own, right? And then trying to craft them structurally, qualitatively, or even quantitatively. You can also see how we can increase number of claims, delete something, or merge something, and so on and so forth. How I can do this on the IP author's UI and make the claims that I wish to actually finally prosecute. So you can start with what the AI did, right? And then use these interactions on the UI and then affect these changes one by one and create a version which actually you want to finally use for your final prosecution, right? And like that, one can read all these claims and find out how else I want to sort of improve on, right? So let me see. Let's see. I talked about quantitative changes as well, right? So I want to see if there's already something like here that I can, let's say I want to say the following. Can you add another claim that discloses the fused sensor input from video and non-video sources discussed in the invention input? All right, so let's see what it does. We have obviously the possibility of using non-video sensors as well. For example, say ultrasonic or LiDAR or something like that, which have been disclosed in the invention disclosure. We want to have such a claim as well, and then say, okay, the invention could entail also taking additional input from these LiDARs and radars, either that are mounted on our vehicle or could be stationary somewhere as well to create more input, right? So let's see what it is. It says the method of claim 1 receives my machine learning model fused sensor input from video and non-video sources, classifying okay. And we could also say give examples of these non-video sources as well. Give examples of non-video sensors to the newly added clear, right? So you can make many of these versions depending upon how you wish to extract information from the tool and finally create what you have in mind. That's what I'm trying to do. We are not obviously creating this set of claims. I'm trying to show you what is possible with the help of these interactions that you can do as well, and many more that you have in your mind, and affect changes of the liking of your scope, right? All right, so let's just then also look at what do we do from here on after the claims are created for us. So we see that it has given examples. Let's see of radar, lidar, ultrasonic, as well to use as an input. Okay, so finally, whenever you were satisfied with the version, you save that set of claims and then say, okay, now let us go towards drafting the actual disclosures, right? So we say draft patent. Mind you, we had actually input an image as well in the form of the invention disclosure, and we want the system to actually read this, create these labels, and then also describe this image, right? This is also possible on IP author, that you can actually input an image, and then this image could potentially also be used in your patent application. The system is going to read this, create a label, and then finally add this to your final disclosure, right? So we wait another 10 seconds. It'll create the description, it'll create these labels, and we can use this finally in our specifications. Okay, it says illustrates the computer implemented method for predicting the intent. It begins with camera module, has LiDAR as well. Optionally, the feature extraction modules, for example, pose features, trajectory mapping, and scene context, which are then read by models, and then finally the decision is made. You can change whatever you want. You can call it, let's say, you can call this 10, you call this 12, as is in our input. You call this 14, 20, 30, 32, 34. We are again trying to say that you can override what the system also did sometimes to make this what you want, right? Okay, so we say go ahead and then use this and add this to the patent specifications, right? So one by one, then all these aspects of the document. So we claims we already had, and the figure we got obviously described. One by one, all of these kind of sections of your patent document are getting now drafted. Title, abstract, background, summary, and so on and so forth, and detailed disclosure. And like claims, we can also make changes to any of these aspects of your patent application, right? So you could say, actually, you know what, I think this background is okay. I would like you to actually read from the one of the application, sorry, the prior art. Let's say we say we want you to discuss this prior art in my application. Just copy and say to the tool, hey, I want you to discuss the following prior art document in here. See the information below. So you don't have to read anything. You just copy and paste what we have already given you. In the search itself, you may want to add a publication number maybe, or whatever else. If you want to write the name of the inventor also, or the company that comes from, just copy this, paste, and end of story. And the system is automatically going to create a background with the disclosure of a certain prior art, right? So it started with what it did earlier as well, and then somewhere it will incorporate a related prior art. This number addresses the predicting of pedestrian intent using camera-based detection and machine learning. Both the inventions do this. However, the current invention distinguishes itself by incorporating control logic. It uses CNN and RNN and optional transformer layers. So you basically can affect exactly what you want by going ahead and using this feature. Also, and then say, okay, I want to use the new version. You save this. Also, what you can do as well is for a certain part, let's say this traditional systems, right? So have primarily focused on presence of pedestrian, but predicting intent remains a challenge, right? Let's say about this, I want some sort of discussion. So you say about this part, can you elaborate on this, right? So not binary, but qualitative, right? So whether or not it will happen or something like that. So it'll start to discuss this aspect as well. Now you say, okay, this seems relevant. Let's add this below the discussion. It'll show you what it changed. You take this out and say save and go back to your patent application, right? To go back to your detailed description. And like that, you can add or delete or change something in the summary. You can ask the system to create the summary in a certain form. You can ask it to add technical effects, technical advantages, and so on and so what have you, right? Or you look at what it created for the diagram. So obviously, this sketch we already had as an input. It additionally created block diagrams for us. It said, okay, it's a pedestrian intent prediction system. There is a camera module, recognition module, control logic, and processing unit. And then it describes all of these aspects in more detail in the detailed description, right? And which as well you can change. You can go ahead and then say, hey, you know what, I think maybe what I want to do is I open this up and I see here that you have talked about certain aspects. Let's see what I want to change, right? So you can look for, or you can add more information. You can say, hey, in my invention, let's say you could see the following. In my invention, I want you to add some additional disclosure for a pose estimation and trajectory tracking. Please disclose. Please, let me just take this out. Let's save some energy. Disclose. Let's say disclose methods like open pose and Kalman filters in this description, right? So these are all known, for example, methods to calculate certain things, right? So we say, okay, either you add this to, you could say I add this to the first paragraph or something like that, but just also very easily have it create. So it created in the figure number, feature extraction 30. It must be here somewhere. There you go. Here, it talked about these aspects, pose, context, and it says trajectory mapping is employed to track pedestrian paths, potentially using Kalman filters to predict future positions and smoothen out motion context. Scene context is also considered where we would use a certain method, right? Because, okay, this seems fine. Let me just take this and actually use it in place of this one, right? Or one by one, you can also change certain things as you wish. So, okay, so I'll stop here, and we want to now go back and show you how we have created the whole report of this draft. As I said, we could start with creating claims, looking at the prior art, making changes to the claims, learning from the prior art, what changes need to be made, and then having the system to describe our image, and finally coming over to the full description, where you can change the summary, you can change the background, you can change the description one by one, and have it create the version that you have in mind, right? It's also possible in IP author that you can have your own claims sometimes, and you want to use your claims as an input to then be described by the system. This is also possible. We support this. So you can copy your own claims here and then add the invention input that you had, obviously, also to the tool to give it context of what is the overall focus of this invention, obviously, in addition to the claims, and then create the full application either in the US or the EP style, right? So that workflow is also supported. You can start with invention disclosure. You can for drafting claims, and then full disclosure. You can start with invention disclosure to create prior art. You can start with your own claims and then give the context of the invention as well, and then have the system draft the full application. You can also potentially create invalidation searches as well if you wish to for prior art assessment, right? Which obviously I'll be happy to also discuss if you have any, if you have such questions. You have all our information. I guess I'll stop right here, and we'll probably take some questions. We still have about 10 minutes. If you have any questions, I guess, about the demo, please feel free to type them in the chat box or the Q&A box, and we'll answer them about right here for these questions.
My suggestion would be that we have covered the office action aspect, the drafting aspect, and we can cover a couple of related areas. Perhaps we can spend a couple minutes walking through the office action, just a sneak preview of what the office action response functionality offers on IP author. I think that would be a good introduction to what is available there. Obviously, we don't have time to go through it in as much detail as the drafting module, but happy to. It would be really good, I think, to show that. Also, it would be interesting to hear from the from the attendees what their experience has been using ChatGPT or any of those tools, or using some of the AI patent tools, what their experience have been, if they have any experience, or what their expectations would be for such a platform. We would be very happy to hear about that if you would be willing to share on the Q&A in the Q&A boxes if you have any opinions or questions. Over to you, Sumer.
Perfect. Sure. Okay. Yeah, that is actually a very good point. Let us quickly look at the office action response module as well. So you can see we offer responses to US rejections, or we also offer responses to search opinions from EPO. We can start on any of this. Let's say we start on EP, right? So we can call US, we can call it anything. We can call it, let's say, Lexology demo. And for the US, what we require is either you input your application number, right? Or upload the files of XML files, mind you, of the rejection and the claims, right, prior to the rejection. Either of these inputs would let you create a summary, which I will obviously, I'm not going to start a new application. I'll look at some existing application, and I'll show you what happens after we input this information. Let's look at this, right? Once you upload the information, let's say these are the two files it automatically took, and it'll start to summarize information. It'll start to look at the kind of rejections that have been obviously posed or have been mentioned by the examiner, and then one by one go on explaining each type of rejection in a little bit of detail, telling you what was cited by the examiner, what is their point of view here as well. So here you could see that this is a US application, US 35 section 102 has been cited here, and this patent with citation from paragraph number 23 has been given. One can read this in more detail. We can also open this paragraph if you wish to read this yourself. This is also possible. We'll directly go to that paragraph, and then you can discuss or you can understand what this is, right? And then after you understand the kind of claims or the kind of rejections that have happened in this examination, process, you can then say, okay, fine. Now, let us find out what the examiner's interpretation of how they've seen our claims are, right? So in this case, it says what we are doing here is we are trying to take each of these claims and then element-wise analyze them as against the prior art. You can see this whole thing right here. Once I click on any of the claims, so for example, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 elements to this particular claim. And one by one, each of these elements we have assessed as against the prior art that is given by the examiner, and also understood the context of our application, right? So from our application, what are we exactly talking about? And what is it that the examiner has cited? And given that, we are categorizing such rejections either as, yes, they are indeed fully disclosed according to the examiner, or they're not, they're partially disclosed because, for example, in this case, the element first and the element third are partially disclosed according to us, which means that we feel that this part is not properly discussed, and we give you the reason why we believe so, right? You can read this, and we also give you the context of where we have learned this from the specifications of our applications or the application from the cited prior art. After you understand these similarities or overlaps, possible overlaps in your application with the cited prior art, you are then presented with a few options. What do you want to do after that? These options are something like this. So it gives you for each rejection, for example, here we have 1 or 2 rejection for claims 1, 5, 9 to 14, 16 to 19. And then we have also 1 or 2 for 15 and 22. And then in addition to that, we have 1 or 3 rejections also. For each kind of a citation or each kind of rejection, they're giving you 3 options to choose from as to what is it that you wish to do given what you've learned the overlap or possible overlap to be, right? And we explain each option, right? We explain here we say, okay, if you were to amend claim number 1 with the technical feature of adding a reaction product of dicyclohexyl carbo-diimide, this is what it would mean. We would explain that Iwasaki does not disclose something. So we give the explanation of how this particular argument would get framed, right? And you can understand this and make sure that you are also in agreement. Or you can change a few things about this argument. You could say, actually, we could also look at paragraph number 25, where it talks about ABC, right? Or you say, okay, fine, this is okay for me. I agree to what you are saying. One of these three options, whichever that is okay for me, and you can choose. Or if you want to create a new option, which is obviously slightly different than any of these 3 ones that are on the menu, you can also do that. You create a new option, you call it whatever option you want to call it, and then describe really how you wish to, given obviously the format that is discussed here, how you wish to frame this argument, right? You can choose either the options that are there or the one that you have created, and then say, okay, fine, based on these options, I want to now draft my response. The system is going to react to these options and one by one understand what it meant in terms of finally creating a amendment set or an argument rather thereof, and then give you the understanding. Says we're going to change the claim number 1. Here's what you've asked me to change, and then once it creates this whole thing for all the claims as well, it's going to also give you the argument here as well. Similarly, we also have a mechanism of showing you the EP of a section response as well. I'll show this again very, very quickly, and then we move on. Here we also summarize the office action, give you the analysis. This is very important. We give you the analysis of each of these claims element-wise in this shape, where each of these patent or citation documents, prior documents, is analyzed, or it's mapped feature-wise against each of the feature of your claim, and then you understand really what you have to do given the overlap or possible overlap or or no overlap, for example, with what your scope was. After you understand this well, you can then choose any of these options that the tool gives as to what your next steps could be. You can choose, let's say, option number 2, and based on which you'll finally generate your final response, right? Like we did in the US format as well. Right here, right? So we got the answers. It tells you exactly what has been amended, and then all other claims that you wish to keep the same, and then writes the arguments for such an amendment as well, giving you the specification support and a final analysis of how you feel this is still valid given the invention novelty or inventive step attacks, right? In addition, you can also now change these amendments as well by interacting with the AI if you wish to, like we did in the claim drafting bit. You can say, okay, I want to change claim number 1, I want to do something to it, and then therefore it will react to it. So I'll stop here again. What we've learned is you can upload these, either give the application number or upload the invention idea, the office action responses from rejection from the offices, and then have the system summarize that for you, quickly understand everything, then analyze the officers or examiners interpretation, see how it overlays your understanding. Are there any possible overlaps indeed, and what these are, and how we can strategize out of these options to then frame our response. That's basically our office action response tool as well. So I'll stop here, and any questions, please. I'll also look at some of these questions very quickly and see if there's anything that
So, Mayor, one of the things, I don't know if we mentioned, like, the export functions for all the for both patent drafting and office
Sure.
action.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
everything
indeed
is...
did not. I
Okay.
indeed did not. So yeah, so once you've created your application, you can download this in the form of a Word document, and then obviously whatever you wish to do to it, make changes and so on and so forth, you can make, right? It'll create a Word document very nicely, neatly, that you can use directly for the next steps. Similar to that, if you have your prior art search, here also you can download the prior art report from either the whole patent information in the form of a Word document or masked Word document. Masked Word document in this case would mean that you'll get the information of all these elements, but we will mask the actual patent number and the filer of this information for any legal compliance, legal and compliance requirements. So here in this case, let me show you how it looks. There you go. So we can download this report. This is basically what your input was, and then finally these are the documents that we have found. I don't know if you're able to see Word documents, because I think I need to share Word documents also. Let me share my whole desktop so that. All right. So here, this is the prior art report that I downloaded right now. It analyzes these information. It summarizes all the information that is there on the UI in the form of the similarity, in the form of the relevant text, and the differences with the actual document that is, in this case, the prior art. Tells you the information, the classes, and so on and so forth. And for the prior art, for the application, this is the download. You can download this, and as I said, neatly, you can have the response or the draft in the form of the Word document, which you can further affect changes to if you wish to, right? That's how the response is usable. For the offer sections as well, you can download the response. Let's say, let me just download this response. You can export the offer section response draft right here and open this. This is to the USPTO. All the information is right here in the same manner as is required by the USPTO. Of course, if you wish to change something to it, is possible, and then use it for the necessary communication with the USPTO or EPO for your perusal. Any other important questions? I saw that there was a question about the language. I guess that has already been answered. Is that Samir? Okay, perfect.
Correct. Basically, the question was, can we support non-English? The AI is pretty good with non-English languages. We haven't tested it fully, so we don't say that the languages are supported, but you should be able to get. We have users who have given prompts and instructions in non-English languages and requested output in non-English languages, and they have
also
been
the
successful.
input. Also, the input can be taken in a non-English language. So
Correct.
Here in Europe, a lot of the users use, for example, in Germany, Deutsch input, and then give their prompts also in Deutsch or in French or whatever other language, and then work with that and then get the response also, or the final analysis also in whatever language you wish. So it's basically like it's not translation; it's actually working in that language. So that way, the outcomes are much better than using a machine translated version.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for staying to the end of this presentation. Please let us know if you have any questions. You can email us samir.rayani, first name last name @ipauthor.com for myself, for Sumer. And if you have any questions, please we'll be happy to answer. We'll be happy to set up demonstrations for your domain, for your industry, for your corporation, or for your law firm. Please feel free to reach out. We are available. We have teams here as well as in Europe, like here in the US, Europe, as well as in Asia. We'll be happy to support you from your particular location. And once again, we appreciate the opportunity. Thank you to Lexology for hosting us, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Have a nice rest of the day, and get back in touch with us for any questions, demonstrations, and such. Bye-bye.
Thank you. That wraps up our masterclass. Thank you all for joining us today. A special thanks to our speakers, Sumair and Samir, for their time and efforts in preparing and delivering this session. As mentioned earlier, the session was recorded, and we'll be sharing a copy of the recording with you in the coming days. Thank you once again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Bye.